Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you once again for being here on Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is time to step foot on the road to WrestleMania as the WWE presents to us the 2019 Royal Rumble this Sunday, and we are here to bring you our preview and predictions of my favorite pay-per-view of the whole entire year. My name is Nick Nightmare, and this is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Royal Rumble preview and prediction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. There is no better time of the year for a wrestling fan than Royal Rumble time. We gear up to get on the road to WrestleMania with the best pay-per-view concept ever to grace our screens. That and maybe the King of the Ring, but the Royal Rumble is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. It is my favorite special match type. It only comes around once a year, and if you want to come at me with the greatest Royal Rumble being an actual Royal Rumble, you are an idiot. And please do not come at me with that nonsense. The greatest Royal Rumble has no impact or no implications to the actual Royal Rumble, which is a super special event to every single wrestling fan every year. Always full of surprises, always full of action, and always that countdown clock just gets you hyped, because most of the times you don't know who's coming out. One of the biggest things about the Royal Rumble is the anticipation of who's going to be that coveted number 30 spot, but the WWE, in WWE fashion, ruined that for us this year by putting that as a caveat, as a little extra added bonus for winning an unnecessary and useless tournament known as the Mixed Match Challenge. So we already know who the number 30 entrant will be, respectively. Carmella for the women's division and R-Truth for the men's Royal Rumble. And those are two very underwhelming number 30 entries, so we have to have faith that there will be big surprises or something intriguing in both Royal Rumbles throughout the course of it, because when it comes to number 30, no surprises for you. Let's ruin Christmas for everybody and tell you what's inside the box, right? Well, that's what they did here with the Royal Rumble. And they find themselves in an interesting situation because the WWE didn't do what most fans were going to assume they were going to do, which was put Becky Lynch in the Royal Rumble this year. We had the match announcement of Becky Lynch versus Asuka at the Royal Rumble, and it was immediately removed from everywhere, from all over social media, and apparently that match was supposed to be canceled. So we all assumed Becky was going to be in and most likely win the Royal Rumble, but that is not the road the WWE is deciding to go down here. But it does open up a bunch of avenues that they can go down that might actually be interesting and beneficial to all parties involved in the women's division, and we will get into that as we talk about the entire match card. So let's move over to the match card screen and let's get this preview started. Let's move over to the studio and get this thing going with the first matchup on the pre-show, which is a sin. An absolute sin that these matches have to be put on during a pre-show. Pre-shows are nothing more than the modern day's terminology for a dark match. It used to be, you used to go to a big show like this, and before the cameras would start rolling, you'd get a couple of matchups between a couple of jabronis and some C-level tag team, like the B-Team, versus, you know, Joe Schmo and Ricky Dicky over here. You know what I mean? That would be the type of match you would get leading up to any live event. But now they're putting actual, really good matches on during a pre-show when the attendance is low and when nobody is really paying attention and watching at home, especially when you see the pre-show panel we have to look at during the Royal Rumble this Sunday. They put JBL on the panel. Nobody wants to hear from him. Jerry the King Lawler, whenever he used to be on the Raw shows and any pay-per-view pre-show, all he does is try to get over his very bad stand-up comedy act. He's not as good as he used to be, and I mean no disrespect because I love the King, but he adds nothing to this panel on a regular basis when he used to do it all the time, and now he's coming back to add his 2 cents here. We have Booker T on the panel. We're going to have Shawn Michaels on the panel, one person I actually care to hear from, and then, of course, Renee Young will be on the panel as well. And during all this jibber-jabber, we are going to have to sit there and wait to see a fantastic match just like this one, the Fatal 4-Way matchup for the Cruiserweight Championship featuring Buddy Murphy, and we got Akira Tozawa, Hideo Itami, and Kalisto. It's going to be a hell of a matchup. Going to be one of those high-flying, high-octane, cruiserweight 205 Live classics, and Buddy Murphy has been on a tear as of late, and he's in there with 3 very competent, very, very talented athletes, and this match is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be fantastic. And you better make sure you're there at 5 p.m. for the pre-show to be able to enjoy this greatness. This is a match that definitely should have been on the main card. I could care less. We all know, if you're a fan of the show, you know I don't care for what they are doing with the Smackdown Live Tag Team Championships with the co-besties. No, I don't care about any of that. In a match like this, I would much rather be on the main card than them even booking this ridiculous angle for The Miz and Shane McMahon, which we will get back to in a minute. This Fatal 4-Way is going to be great. I do not expect Buddy Murphy, who has been on a tear, like I said, to lose his championship in this matchup. He's going to come out on top. The juggernaut of 205 Live is going to remain the top dog, and I foresee him on top of that mantle for some time yet to come. Until there's somebody on that roster that I really think is going to be able to bring it and put Buddy Murphy down, none of these 3 guys really, I think, have that capacity to do so. We'll have to tune in and find out. Another sin being put on this pre-show is the United States Championship match. One of the matches that actually has had some build on regular television. Shinsuke Nakamura getting his rematch against Rusev for the United States Championship. Rematches rather, which we're not supposed to get anymore, right? They took away the rematch clause, and Shinsuke Nakamura had to go on the attack. He was just constantly sneaking up on Rusev, attacking Rusev, doing his Shinsuke Nakaball punch to Rusev, just getting at him every single way that he can, calling him a total diva. It's been mildly entertaining at best, but it has not been that consistent, and it has been shuffled to the pre-show because that's how much the WWE doesn't care. I'm sorry, Blue. Oh my goodness. Doesn't care about Rusev, doesn't care about Shinsuke, and doesn't give a shit about the United States Championship. My studio is really small, and when I get this hammer going, sometimes Blue feels the effects, but he's tough. He's a lot tougher than most of the WWE superstars right now, so don't worry about him. He's going to be just fine, and it might not be the last time he gets the hammer brought down on him as well. Let's get to the main card finally with the first matchup that we are going to talk about being my least favorite of all of them, being the Tag Team Championship matchup for SmackDown Live. The Bar about to be made a fool of. The Bar is going to end up losing this matchup. There is no reason why they shouldn't, the way that the WWE has been building and building the co-besties, best tag team in the world. Oh, please, make me sick. I can't stand it. It's absolutely awful, and if in fact they do end up becoming the tag team champions of the world in this matchup, what a disrespect in my view. What a disrespect. Now, a lot of you guys have been trying to tell me, you know, Nick, this is actually kind of interesting, and you are all expecting that The Miz is going to turn on Shane McMahon a la Dean Ambrose did to Seth Rollins, that they will in fact win the tag team championships, and then Shane McMahon will suffer an attack by The Miz, setting up for a matchup between them at WrestleMania. Now, if that is in fact what happens and they don't win the championship, that's fine. I guess I could do that. If Shane McMahon has to have his obligatory match at WrestleMania, they might as well continue this nonsense. They've come this far and end it that way, and it wouldn't be that bad if that's in fact what they're doing. But if that's not what they're doing, and they're just going to be a tag team in the tag team division, and there's never going to be some sort of comeuppance or some sort of conflict between the two to have this tag team dissolve and make Shane McMahon go back to the office again, then I don't understand the point. They have so much talent in the tag team division that this match should not be happening. It should not be happening. You got tag teams like Sanity sitting there doing nothing. The Club is doing nothing. The entire Raw tag team division isn't even on this show. They're all in the Royal Rumble. Awful. Absolutely dreadful. And this match continues to prove how terribly the WWE books the tag team division. For them to put Shane McMahon and The Miz and a stupid trophy that means nothing, that was one of the controversial pay-per-view that everybody's trying to forget, above the entire tag team division, then we are truly in some terrible times for tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is great. Look at what we're going to get at NXT. Guarantee you that match is going to floor you. It's going to exceed all of your expectations. And it's going to be great. This match is not going to deliver on anything. It's going to be awful. And I don't want to see it. But I'm pretty sure that the WWE is going to screw us all and give the championships to the co-best friends, tag team, bestie, blah, 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 in the world. Blah. You want to talk about best in the world, you got to talk about these two ladies right here. The Boss, Sasha Banks, versus Ronda Rousey. There is a bunch of interesting things that can happen here. Nobody really expects Sasha Banks to win this matchup. But I think that would be a great thing to do. It would be unexpected because it would be unpredictable. And the way that you can get to that has a lot to do with everything else that happens on this night at the Royal Rumble. So we will talk more about why I think that's a good idea as we go a little bit further down the card. But logic is telling me that the WWE is just going to have Ronda Rousey end up being victorious and carry the belt into WrestleMania so they could have their historic WrestleMania main event on the back of Ronda Rousey, which is all very understandable, and it'll be interesting to see how they get there and how they are going to get all the players that they want to be involved in this situation to actually fit into the equation, since most of them are on separate brands, which, again, we will come back to as we talk later on about the Women's Royal Rumble and the Smackdown Live championship match for the women's division. But as of right now, I have to pick Ronda Rousey to come out on top here and continue her reign of Rousey, Ronda McRowdy braids, and all her bad makeup and all her weird hairdos and her terrible promos talking about ripping out hair and washing feet with them. We'll have to stomach all of that, but that's fine as long as the end game at WrestleMania ends up being as good as most people are anticipating. But once again, we will get back to that in just a couple of seconds. We are going to talk about the other end of the women's spectrum right now, which is Asuka versus the man, Becky Lynch. Now, everybody's pulling for Becky. Well, most of them. There's a lot of Asuka fans that you're hearing in the crowd right now that it might even be a 50-50 kind of deal going on here, but I fully expect everybody to be behind Becky Lynch. I'm fully behind Becky Lynch, but I'm not pulling so much for Becky Lynch to win in this situation. And again, that has to do with the Royal Rumble and has to do with how they can get to an epic WrestleMania main event for the women's division. And I think that the smart thing to do, if you are not going to have Becky Lynch come into the Royal Rumble as the champion or go into the actual Royal Rumble itself, then she should lose here. She should definitely lose here and have her frustrations boil over as we are leading down the road to WrestleMania, so that she is frantically trying to get involved in some sort of a championship match, and there is a way to go about that. But I'm thinking the WWE might actually just play it safe and give the championship to Becky Lynch. One of the reasons I would want this to happen is if the rumors that are going around are true, and there are some sort of hintings going on that the women's division might be unified going forward in 2019, then having Becky Lynch as the SmackDown Live champion And then having Ronda Rousey as the Raw Women's Champion makes perfect sense to have them unify the titles right then and there, if that's something they're actually interested in doing. And then you could have Charlotte Flair win the Royal Rumble and insert herself into that match, making it a very big triple threat match, which is a lot of people's predictions for what's going on at WrestleMania for the women's division. But I have a better idea than that, and I'm saying Becky Lynch loses in this scenario to Asuka. Charlotte Flair can then go on to lose the Royal Rumble, once again allowing her to be angry and letting her frustrations boil over to the point where the two of them at the end of the night or later on, whichever happens first on the card, hopefully it will go in the order that would benefit this idea, but you have Becky and Charlotte go out there and help Sasha Banks defeat Ronda Rousey and win the Raw Championship. You can have the decision reversed the next night on Raw by Stephanie McMahon, or you can end up having a rematch at the Chamber where Sasha Banks can give the title back to Ronda Rousey, but really they don't even have to do that. You can have Sasha even hold the belt all the way to WrestleMania and having her be the champion mostly because of the involvement of her horsewomen friends, which is the story that we can tell at WrestleMania that would probably be the most epic thing that you could do. You can build towards WrestleMania 35 and have the main event be a fatal four-way with Sasha Banks, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch. And then you pair that, you put on the back of that match the debut of Shayna Baszler and maybe Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, and you have them play a factor because there are no disqualifications in a fatal four-way matchup. And that's how Ronda Rousey can get back on top and regain her women's championship thanks to her horsewomen. And now that feud is born leading forward into 2018. And consequently, if that's how you would do it, you might be saying, well, then what the hell would you do with the Royal Rumble? I have the perfect answer for that, and I would give the Royal Rumble to Ember Moon. I would have Ember Moon win the Royal Rumble and then go on to challenge Asuka for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship on the opposite end of this Raw title match. And you can build that up off of their history in NXT. Asuka would be the first ever Royal Rumble winner. Ember Moon would then be the second Royal Rumble winner that there ever was. And now you have the first two ever winners of the Royal Rumble for the women facing off at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. It's a great idea. It's a great idea, but I don't think that that's where the WWE is going to go. It's a little complex, and it might not make sense to you in certain areas because there is going to be no clear babyface heel scenario. It's simply a way that we can get to the four horsewomen feud leading out of WrestleMania, and it would be great. Imagine that the three of them are just toying with Ronda Rousey the whole time. You know that one of these three are going to end up being the Raw Women's Champion before the night is over, and then Shayna Baszler's music hits. And she comes out flanked with her friends, and they come in there and even the odds. You could even have Bayley come out at that moment and really show the solidarity between the 4-on-4, as she won't play a part in it up until that point. And then you have them face off in the ring, you have the whole beatdown, and somehow in all the shenanigans, Ronda Rousey pulls out the victory in Sasha Banks, over Sasha Banks, and then you go from there. I think that is the WrestleMania moment in the making, and that's the way it should go down. I doubt that is the way it's going to go down, but now that I got that off my chest, we can continue on down the line with the rest of these matchups. But my official prediction here is probably we are going to see Becky Lynch win the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. While we're on SmackDown Live Championships, we might as well move it right along to the big one, the WWE Championship, the new Daniel Bryan versus the real AJ Styles. This feud has been built up very, very well. Everything Daniel Bryan has done as this psycho, earth environmentalist, crazy nut job. He comes off almost like a mad scientist, and I love it. The herbalistic hobo Jesus. He's amazing, and his character is great. Why we had to see Vince McMahon slap AJ Styles in the face and why Vince McMahon has been involved in this in any way, I don't know. This feud sells itself without any extra added McMahon to it. What we've seen from them already was fantastic. I expect to see a repeat performance, and if not, even better than then. This match is going to be great. Leading into WrestleMania, who do you think is going to be holding the championship? I think right now it would be stupid to take the championship away from Daniel Bryan. He is the hottest thing going on SmackDown Live. He's the biggest heel that they have running right now, and that's saying a lot considering that's the same brand that has guys like Randy Orton and Samoa Joe on it. Daniel Bryan is killing it, and he deserves to remain the champion coming out of the Royal Rumble, leading to maybe the third in the series of matches between these two at WrestleMania. Maybe you add in an extra guy, you have a triple threat of some sort. I haven't really put too much thought into where we're going to go after the Royal Rumble, because all I'm seeing is Daniel Bryan retaining his championship at the Royal Rumble. I'm also feeling that there might be a Vince McMahon plan in play to have AJ Styles lose here and somehow find his way over to Monday Night Raw by the time we get to WrestleMania, and have him involved in that main event picture leading into WrestleMania, because Daniel Bryan could wrestle a broomstick at WrestleMania at this point and everybody's going to watch. So that's what I think might be in the cards leading ahead, but not really giving too much thought about it. Like I said, simply I'm going with Daniel Bryan here. I might be wrong, but I can't go against him. The guy is red hot, and it's actually no reason that I could see why they would take the title away from him at this point. AJ Styles is just as good on the babyface front, but the real AJ Styles just is a little bit more amped up than the other AJ Styles. This was all brought about by a slap in the face from the boss, and I think that's going to play more into this than it seems, because they didn't really do too much about it. But if AJ Styles comes out and loses, you got to think Vince McMahon's not going to be happy about it. And maybe that's where the story is going to continue, leading to him being moved to Monday Night Raw. Who knows? That's the biggest, most common sense I can make out of it. But while we're still talking championships, let's move over to that Raw main event picture, which would do well to add AJ Styles to it. AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar was a fantastic match, and AJ Styles versus Finn Balor was a fantastic match, and I think that's two feuds that he deserves to be part of on the Red Brand if he does in fact go there. But until then, this is the matchup we are getting. We are not being put through another Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar match, and all the nonsense behind it, whether he was hurt or not, whether Vince McMahon pulled him from this because he actually wants to have that match at WrestleMania be the main event for the Raw Universal Championship. I don't want to see Brock versus Braun. I didn't want to see it here. I definitely don't want to see it at WrestleMania, and I hope to God that is not the plans that they are moving forward with. I don't see Finn Balor winning here. I don't think anybody does, but I know for a fact we are going to get an entertaining and fantastic matchup. And I can't wait to see it. It's going to be reminiscent of when he took on AJ Styles. It's going to be very reminiscent of when he took on Daniel Bryan. And it's those type of matchups that Brock Lesnar actually enjoys having, more than going out there and just throwing haymakers against some other big piece of beef, as Vince McMahon would put it. But this match, not going to be the most technical masterpiece, but it's going to most likely be very, very entertaining. Finn Balor should not be sold short. That's no pun intended. Everybody's, taking digs at Balor because he's so small, and we got legends coming out on Twitter saying that this match is stupid. Superstar Billy Graham saying he's not interested, and I'm saying that then you're crazy, Mr. Billy Graham, because this is what wrestling is all about. The big man versus the small man. Can he overcome? Would you say the same thing back in the day when they had Shawn Michaels going up against Big Daddy Cool Diesel? No. That was half the story, was the mismatch in size. David versus Goliath. The way they wanted to butcher it on Monday Night Raw is not the way the tale actually goes. But this is a good story, and I like where it's going. If the Demon does not come out, I will be very, very disappointed. And I hear everybody else saying, well, they're going to save the Demon for WrestleMania so he can have this match with The Undertaker. Nowhere have I seen that as a thing. I haven't seen that reported anywhere. I don't hear Meltzer talking about it. I've heard a few people mention it here and there, but I don't think that's a good idea either. You would want to have the Demon come out and have a fantastic showing against Brock Lesnar. It would not spoil anything by having him come out now when it's something everybody wants, and then we will want it again by the time we get to WrestleMania. You can have The Undertaker and Finn Balor involved in some sort of an angle leading up to WrestleMania, where The Undertaker never sees this demon on the road to WrestleMania until we get to WrestleMania, and you have the two epic entrances going one after the other, and then you have this match, and it would be great. Having it be here at the Royal Rumble would not ruin that in any way. In fact, the one at WrestleMania will just be more grand. It'll be bigger and more spectacle than what he does at the Royal Rumble, and that in itself will make it special. So that's what I really do want to see. The Beast versus the Demon. Why it wasn't already kind of hinted at in any way or spoken of in any way, you know, that's because WWE doesn't know what they're doing. While I don't want them to spoil things, it doesn't even seem like that's the case. And it looks like they're actually planning to not have Finn Balor be in full demon garb. It's not going to kill the matchup 100%, but it's definitely going to take some of the intrigue out of it for most of us. And we still don't know for a fact whether or not The Undertaker is even planning to be at WrestleMania, and if he is, we might get a clue of it on this night at the Royal Rumble. I'm picking Brock Lesnar to win here, and we are going to move on to the Men's Royal Rumble. And before we even talk about the Men's Royal Rumble, I want you to look at the goddamn picture that I had to put up here. This was the only picture available from WWE.com for me to use, and look at the foursome here. Now, Elias, we all want to walk with Elias. We all know how underutilized and underappreciated he is. But the other three faces, if you were advertising the Royal Rumble to me, and this was the guys that you wanted me to know were going to be in the Royal Rumble and are going to be featured and highlighted in the Royal Rumble, then I'm not going to want to watch the Royal Rumble. You got a guy that I don't want to see, but says I can't see him, but still I see him clear as day in his bright neon-colored friggin' green shirt. And you got Constable Dickhead Baron Corbin, which nobody wants to see, still coming out dressed like a stupid dumbwaiter from the Hotel Ritz-Carlton. And Jinder Mahal. Do I have to say even more? You guys all already know how we don't want to see Jinder Mahal ever. But these are the four. These are the four guys you put in the picture to get people hype about the Royal Rumble. Are you shitting me with this? So let's just pay no real attention to this picture. Damn, WWE couldn't think of anything better. And let's not leave out the fact that John Cena supposedly was removed. He's supposedly injured and he's not going to be taking part in the Royal Rumble, yet he is still the first name on the official listing for entries of the Royal Rumble as far as the WWE is reporting right now. So let's go down the list of the names that we know are going to be part of this Men's Royal Rumble. There are 20 names announced in all. Let's roll them down. John Cena, Randy Orton, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, Big E and Xavier Woods, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, Elias, Jinder Mahal, Jeff Hardy, Bobby Trashley, Titus O'Neil, Andrade Cien Almas, Rey Mysterio, Mustafa Ali, and R-Truth. That's 20 names in all, which leaves 10 remaining. As we already discussed, R-Truth is the coveted number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble. No surprise there. But there could be some very big surprises. We might see some of the NXT guys that they've been hyping up. Guys like EC3. Guys like Lars Sullivan, who I know has been having anxiety and health issues as of late, but he might be ready as of Sunday to be in the Royal Rumble. And rumors suggest that John Cena, if he does in fact take part in the Royal Rumble, will be involved in Lars Sullivan in some big angle to lead them toward a match at WrestleMania, if that hasn't been pulled due to the difficulties the WWE is being faced with Lars Sullivan and his mental capabilities at the moment. But that is probably the most interesting thing I could tell you guys. Other than that, EC3 has been getting dead cold reactions. I don't think he's going to be cared too much about if he comes out even at number 1, top 1%, coming out at number 1. Nobody's going to care. I care because I like the guy, I know what he's all about, but not everybody has a fan mentality like you and I do that know and appreciate an EC3 for what he is and what he's all about. And I think it'll be a waste to have him in the Royal Rumble, especially if he's not going to really win the Royal Rumble, and what is the point? Then you got guys like Heavy Machinery who have recently debuted. They'll probably fill up 2 spots. Maybe they'll fill up 4 spots since they're both so friggin' big. Who knows with the WWE nowadays. And the big returns of legends, I can't really think of too many. Listen, let's get this right off our chest. I don't expect to see Kenny Omega. He's still contractually obligated to New Japan Pro Wrestling until January 31st, which means he would have to breach his contract to be at the Royal Rumble unless some sort of an agreement could be made. I doubt that could happen without going noticed on the WWE's radar of news outlets and all this shit, so I don't expect to see Kenny Omega. Of course, I don't expect to see CM Punk, so don't even start that, although those would be the two biggest names in all of wrestling that could ever debut at the Royal Rumble. Other than that, you got guys like Batista, who's rumored to be having a match with Triple H at WrestleMania. You got guys like The Rock, who were supposed to be part of a WrestleMania match with his cousin Roman Reigns before he had to step away due to his personal health issues. And then, of course, there is The Undertaker, who could show up at any time, anywhere he wants to do anything at all, and be in the Royal Rumble to set up his match at WrestleMania versus whoever it may be. Maybe he's the one that gets the match versus Lars, or maybe he just has some sort of encounter with somebody that ends up eliminating The Undertaker, and now that's going to be his match at WrestleMania. But other than that, I really can't think of anybody. You want to talk about names from NXT, like maybe an Adam Cole might show up, maybe an Aleister Black might show up. Depending on how everything goes Saturday night at TakeOver, we might see a bunch of names. We might see the Velveteen Dream is one of the biggest names that I've been hearing thrown out there as a surprise debut at the Royal Rumble. I don't know too much how I feel about that, but we'll have to see how everything turns out. That's what I see going on for the Men's Royal Rumble. As far as winners and losers, Braun Strowman's name is not on this list, and I have a feeling he's going to end up in this matchup, and most likely if he wins this matchup, then Vince McMahon has truly lost his mind, and he is going with Braun versus Brock at WrestleMania. That's not what I want to see. I would much rather see this go to a Seth Rollins or somebody of that caliber, somebody that can actually wrestle. Maybe you shock the world and you give it to a Mustafa Ali, or you give it to an Andrade. You don't give two shits about Titus O'Neil. His whole function here is going to be to come out and fall on his face. He's going to do it intentionally this time to follow up on the greatest royal stumble by Titus O'Neil, the Titus World Slide, and we're going to get part 2, and it's going to be forced and ridiculous, and I don't really care. He doesn't really even deserve to be in the Royal Rumble. When was the last time he was even in a match? Alright, but Titus O'Neil is going to be in the Royal Rumble because we all believe in miracles, but I don't see him going very far. I don't think they'll give it to Elias. I definitely don't want to see this thing go to Baron Corbin. I could see Vince McMahon doing that just to give us one of these, and then we'll have Baron Corbin in the main event of the WrestleMania, the Raw side of the WrestleMania card, which is just, you see how it just fried my brain out that I couldn't even get the sentence out. God forbid. There are guys like Drew McIntyre and Samoa Joe that are obvious favorites going in, and I would definitely have no problem with either one of them winning, but I don't think the WWE truly has faith in either one of these guys to be a main event star. Look at what they've done with Drew McIntyre. He's almost stuck in stop-start mobility hell. The guy wins one week and then he loses like for 2 weeks, and then he'll win in a tag match, but then he loses on his own, and it doesn't matter by what means he loses. The guy's not looking too great ever since he's been split from Dolph Ziggler. And I didn't even like his pairing too much with Dolph Ziggler because I thought it was going to take away from him to begin with. And now he seems to just be lost. So I don't see them taking him and automatically inserting him into the main event of WrestleMania. The only person that really makes sense here is Seth Rollins. He needs to find a way back to the championship matchup, and then you could give him the one-on-one match with Brock Lesnar leading into WrestleMania, and you have the King Slayer become the Beast Slayer going one-on-one with Brock Lesnar, and that would be a big-time WrestleMania match, and then you have Brock Lesnar lose the title to Seth Rollins, and everybody's happy. We have a championship back on Monday Night Raw again. Brock Lesnar can go fight Daniel Cormier, and everybody's happy. So let's do that. That's my official pick. Seth Rollins or bust, really. Unless they want to surprise me with something special, like I said, like for an Andrade to win and end up going out there and having a main event with Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. That'll be amazing at WrestleMania. But I don't expect that. I expect it to be Seth Rollins. And finally, let's talk about the ladies portion. And once again, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this? Another foursome of people that I don't want to see. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway. The Royal Rumble for the women. As I'm just now realizing, I don't think the picture changed on the last one, did it? I was talking about the Men's Royal Rumble, I was talking about the picture, and I don't think it changed at all. Anyway, we're just going to roll with it, and we're just going to keep going. I'll show you guys that picture right now, just in case you wanted to know and see what that picture looked like. Here we go. I don't think it changed. We're having trouble here. We're tired, and we got shit to do, and we're going to keep on moving with this show. And let's get back to talking about the Women's Royal Rumble. I already told you what I would like to see happen here, but we'll go down the list of its competitors. Natalya, Bayley, Ember Moon, Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, Liv Morgan, Mickie James, Alicia Fox, who sucks, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Zelina Vega, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Tamina, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Dana Brooke, Lana, Nia Jax, Nikki Cross, and Carmella, who is the number 30 entry. 23 names announced here, leaving 7 open spots for which they can do lots of things. You could see the possible NXT women that have been called up here as well. Nikki Cross has already been announced, but you got Lacey Evans walking around making noise in her funny hats, and maybe she will show up in the Royal Rumble and try to make a statement. You got, depending again on what happens at NXT TakeOver, you could see the debut of a Shayna Baszler in the Royal Rumble. Or you can get for the Legends pop, you can bring in the Trishes or the Litas and the Molly Hollies or anybody that just wants a paycheck that's ready to do some flipping around during a Royal Rumble. But the biggest thing that can happen, which is something I don't really hear anybody talking about, is if Paige were to make her return at the Royal Rumble. It's been very under the radar. Some people have touched upon it here and there, but Paige has somewhat been cleared to return to the ring, and if we see the return of Paige at the Royal Rumble, I think that's a headline type of thing. I think it's maybe the biggest thing they could have coming out of this thing. Charlotte Flair is your obvious pick to win so that she could make her way to the main event of WrestleMania, but if they wanted to do something interesting, they could go with my idea and give it to Ember Moon and have her go on to challenge Asuka, and then have the horsewomen angle go on as we talked about there. And that, my friends, is going to be the end of our predictions portion of this whole thing. Let's get back to the main layout. I want to apologize if there were any technical flubs here. I don't know what happened there. I clicked everything that needed to be clicked. If the picture didn't change, I apologize. If it did and I came off like a crazy person at the end of that thing, I apologize for that too. But it's been a long week. You guys, you have no idea what I've even been through. My training at House of Glory has taken an epic step forward. I have been included in the House of Glory Underground Rumble, which will be taking place this Wednesday during our next class session. I was chopped. I was clotheslined over the top rope. I was doing all kinds of great shit this week. I got super kicked in the face by one of the House of Glory talents because my promo skills are just too hot for some to take. And maybe that's why I'm a little bit off. Maybe I'm still a little rattled from the jaw-jacking that I got from one Private Party's Mark Quinn. And there will be a receipt coming one day, my friend. I may have asked for it. I did take it to the line, but being, you know, down on the mat looking up at the lights was pretty fucking cool for the first time in my life. And it's been an interesting week. We could talk more about that. If you're interested in seeing my progress, you could follow me on Instagram at NIC_Nightmare is the tag there, and you could see some of my House of Glory progress. I'm hoping that they put the video up for that so I can show it to you guys. I know somebody was filming it, but they have yet to post or share anything like that. And if it does become available, I will make it known to each and every one of you guys. And this will be a good way to see how many of you made it to the end of this review, because I'm sure some of you will not be able to resist talking to me about what the hell I just talked about in my House of Glory wrestling training continues. And now we have to actually get ready to go to today's class and get this review over with. And I want to thank you for being here with me once again today. This is a double-decker day. If you missed our NXT TakeOver preview and predictions, it was posted earlier this afternoon, and I will leave that in the annotations up above so that you can go view it as soon as you are finished viewing this. Also, there is the reviews of the go-home shows this week, the Raw and Smackdown go-home shows, respectively. The Raw show sucked as usual. Smackdown Live put on a fantastic effort to get me more excited for the Royal Rumble, and now I'm looking for you guys to join me here Sunday night, as we are going to be here, as always, to bring the hammer down on the Royal Rumble as soon as it wraps up. I'm sure there's going to be lots of talking points to get through, and hopefully they don't screw this up too bad, because I love the Royal Rumble. Even though the last few years the winners here and there have been a little bit less than desirable, I'm always a big fan of the match. I really enjoy the Royal Rumble, and hopefully they don't mess it up for me or for you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here with me once again today. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show and the Wrestling God of Thunder. My boy Blue, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world. The most important member of the team, as always, is you. And you guys, if you are not subscribed, don't forget to do that right now and become one of the almost 1,200 subscribers that already know that when you want your wrestling news full of fun and quips and whips and just completely bullshit free quips and whips, what? Sledgehammer TV is the place to be. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring your notification bell so you don't miss a thing going up this weekend, because the reviews will be coming down like hammers. And you know how that feels. And if you don't want to miss that, that's the best way to do that. Make sure you are subscribed and notified. Make sure you smash that like button for me if you enjoyed today's show, and if you liked my graphics, and if you liked my point of views, if you liked my idea for the women in the Royal Rumble and everything that I talked about. Smash that thumbs up for me right now, and then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they're amped up for the best pay-per-view of the year, which is usually the Royal Rumble. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you all weekend long for the absolute best coverage of the Royal Rumble in all of YouTube, and that's right here at the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. I'm ready to rumble. Are you? Everybody enjoy yourselves. Have a good time Saturday night for NXT TakeOver, and try your best to enjoy the Rumble, and we will reconvene our hammering session Sunday night. We'll see you then.